Seomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tiny Room. I am Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined by the man who has been called the Philip Coulson to my Nicholas Fury. It's Ben. Say hello, Ben.
Coulson.
Cool, very good. Michael and Benjamin's podcast is Ireland's leading Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan cast.
No.
And it is. No. And I think it might be, actually.
Might be the world's leading.
Nobody like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. except me. And this week we'll be talking about things not related with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Benjamin, do you think that you should do the theme music?
Probably time, isn't it?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Yeah, that's so funny. Very good. Benjamin, so episode 101.
101.
We are sadly bereft of Dalmatians.
Yes, that'd be great. We should have gotten 101 Dalmatians for 101.
Ben, we don't have room in here. It is a tiny room.
We could clear out some of the action figures.
Ben, the listeners will have noticed that there was a little stinger at the start now because we are officially a Seomra Beag production.
Yeah, we are. Oh, yes, this is our first ever official Seomra Beag production.
Yeah, so we have a new website.
Yes, you can go check it out. It's very nice. In fact, pause the podcast right here.
No, yeah, do.
Go take yourself an hour look.
Actually, stop listening entirely and then come back and give us more clicks.
Yeah, if you could just X out of your browser completely, reopen your browser, go back to the address, and start a fresh click.
Sign in with a new username.
Yes, that would be great.
Ben, tell people what Seomra Beag means for the people who might not know what Seomra Beag means.
Seomra Beag is Gaelic for tiny room. Well, it's technically Gaelic for small room, but we don't have a Gaelic word for tiny.
There is, but it's not as catchy. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't work the same. Seomra Beag, so it'll be our little production centre because we do a bunch of different things, including a brand new podcast that will be coming out this Wednesday.
Ooh, how exciting! SeomraBeag.com. Ben, spell Seomra Beag for people who are not Irish.
For anyone that can't find it, it's SEOMRABEAG. Put a space between that A and that B, and you get Seomra Beag.
Yeah, but not in the website address, Ben.
And don't forget productions.
No, there's no productions on the website.
Never mind, do forget productions.
SeomraBeag.com, Ben. SeomraBeag.com/Michaelandbenjaminspodcast. Anyway, Ben, now that we've got our egos out of the way.
So many plugs.
Ben, some butt plugs, wall plugs.
Sink plugs.
Yeah, I think they're just called plugs. Ben.
Plug sockets.
No.
One of the Seomra Beag productions will be Plugs, the world of plugs. Plugging away. That's what it's going to be called. Plugging away.
That's a good name. Yeah. Ben, can we please get on with it? Ben, probably the biggest, most exciting. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on because Endgame is finally petering off.
Very much so. Having an old Peter.
It's kind of 50-50 now if it's going to overtake Avatar. My money's on no.
My money's on no as well, sadly. I would really love it was yes, though. God.
I still don't know how I feel about that. I might go see it again.
Just to try and
just chip in.
You could be the one that puts it over.
I could be, Ben. Anyway, look, be quiet for a second. Ben, as you know, there's going to be a Batman reboot.
There is.
Or is it a reboot?
I think it's a full reboot.
Who's doing the reboot again? Is it a Welsh person?
Matt Reeves.
Is he Welsh?
Matt Reeves. I think he's American, but we can check that.
He just sounds Welsh, doesn't he?
Yeah, he might just sound Welsh. But he's doing a full reboot.
Yes.
And he's been given full control of the script again. There was some humming and hawing when Mr. Affleck was still in the role. He wanted to write his script. Matt Reeves took it away from him. He wasn't too jazzed about that.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a lot of tension. I blame Snack Schneider for all of it.
Snack Schneider?
Snack Schneider.
He's like a bag of crisps.
He's a bag of crisps. He's a real...
Schneik.
Real schnikey son of a gun. But yeah, so now we're going to get somebody new. Michael.
Tell us who it is, Ben.
It's going to be, well, all signs point to Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. Oh, nice. You've been sitting on that one. That was excellent.
Thanks.
That was absolutely excellent.
I stole it from our friend Cron.
Oh, was very good. Thank you, Cron. Look, I would love to jump on the, oh my God, that's ridiculous. But history has proven me wrong many times.
Yeah. And, look, people are always acting in things.
Yeah.
And, he's not really a sparkly vampire. There's no need to get upset that...
He's also done several very good movies since Sparkly Vampiredom.
Yeah, he seems to be a decent enough actor.
He's an indie darling.
He's no Kristen Stewart.
also
Yeah.
an Englishman.
Yes. Well, there is a history of casting. Oh no, that's James Bond.
And if anyone can do a good job of American better than Americans, it's probably an Englishman, because all our television shows have Englishmen playing Americans now.
Idris Elba.
That's it.
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie. Look, we're gonna get a very deep Batman, I'd imagine.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Good friend of the podcast, not at all true. Boss Logic over on Instagram did a mock-up of him as Bruce Wayne. Looked very good.
Yeah, I like it.
Looked very good.
I think he's a good choice.
And one of my second favourite responses was they want to do Batman Beyond with Robert Pattinson as Terry McGinnis and get Michael Keaton on for Old Man Bruce Wayne.
I'm glad you brought up Michael Keaton, Ben, because remember back in the 80s,
Mikey Keats.
you probably don't remember this, Ben,
I wasn't alive in the
but
80s.
when Michael Keaton was cast as Batman, the fans were pretty upset.
Yeah, and now they can't get enough of him.
Now they can't get enough of him,
Good
even though he's
old-
far too small.
Good old Mikey Keats.
Yeah. Anyway.
Nobody holds it against him. Look, I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm going to take a leaf from the Mick book of reacting to things, and I'm just going to be like, look, we'll wait and we'll see.
See how it goes.
Because normally I tend to react a little strongly, and I come off as a neckbeard. And it's episode 101, Michael, so we're going to try and... We're going to put a leash on my neckbeardum.
Okay, like in your bedroom activities.
Yeah, that's a leash on another part of me, but yeah, you get the idea.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Neither do I.
Anyway, yeah, look, Ben, Robert Pattinson, I think he'll be good. Give him a shot.
Yeah.
He obviously won't have the same haircut anyway. I think it's his haircut that upsets people.
He's going to get a bunch of fucking stuff done. Like, he's going to be hitting the gym like
He's going to
crazy.
be in the gym. He's going to
be a very buff man.
I always thought that a good choice for a young Batman back in the olden days would have been David Boreanaz.
He would have been a great Batman.
I don't know if he would now, though, because he's not gone that way.
He's a little past the prime.
But a young Batman, I always thought he had the look, at least.
Yes,
and Robert Pattinson shares some of that look.
He's a serious man on a serious earth.
Yeah, and he's got spiky hair.
And in other fan service news for you from Batmandom, his two villains will be Penguin and Catwoman.
Oh, good.
We get to see a new Catwoman.
Oh, who's it going to be?
We haven't decided that. That hasn't been
Oh, I hope it's Megan
yet.
Good.
I was just about to say, fingers crossed for Megan Good.
Anyway,
Fingers crossed for Megan Good.
what are we talking about, Ben?
Next piece of news there on the list.
Now, look, this next thing we're talking about, Ben, it upsets me how some people pronounce this. I say Watchmen. Like, it's two words, not Watchmen.
I don't say that. I say Watchmen.
I know you do, and it upsets me every time. But Ben, the Watchmen, they have a new trailer.
The Watchmen do have a new trailer. I'll try and do it your way, Mick. It's
No,
episode 101.
you do your
it's time
way.
to bury the pronunciation hatchet.
You do it
Cool
your way,
son
Ben.
shall go the way of Watchmen.
My good lady friend says Coulson now, and she doesn't know why she says Coulson. And it's really starting to tick me off.
Because I have a very, very, very viral voice.
Very persuasive.
Unfortunately. Yeah, new trailer. Look, this is something that no one can really bitch about because it's a continuation.
Ben,
as opposed to
the internet would beg to differ.
I think it looks good. I think it looks very leftoversy.
Oh,
In how we're going to approach the tone. It's very much a society gone awry kind of piece by the looks of
Ben.
the teaser. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok.
it looks like Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias.
Yes, he does look very old and mandious.
Oh, because Ozymandias, old man, oldie man.
Yeah.
Old Gary, old man.
Yeah, I didn't realise he was still alive. I thought he had died at the end of Watchmen for some reason.
No, he doesn't. He wins.
Yeah, he wins.
It looks like it's set in.
But he doesn't really win, isn't
No, he does.
No, because Rorschach sends off his little...
Well, I think
journal.
that seems to be the world that we live in. That journal has come out, and people have discovered that Ozymandias was a bit of an son of a bitch.
Was a bit of an son of a bitch.
And it looks like it's going to be bereft of superhero-dom.
I'm not sure, based on the sentence, we thought they were gone, but they were just hiding. So I don't know if that is perhaps a hint at future superhero-dom. But I'd say you're probably looking at a world of legacy, where people grew up with parents as superheroes. We may see the daughter of Silk Spectre and Owlman appear.
Old man.
Yeah, well, he'll be Old Man now, yes. Old Owl. The wise Old Owl.
Oh, I thought you were saying owl like a Dubliner says owl one.
Yeah, like an owl. No.
An owl fella.
No, the Owl Man, you know yourself.
Wouldn't Owlfella be a great Irish superhero? He's a man who's owl themed.
Loves owls.
And everyone's like, sure, what would an Owlfella do?
What'd you do that for? Big into talents. Big into talents. But yeah, look, it was a teaser. We didn't get a whole bunch of it. It looks shot.
It has Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. He says now TikTok, TikTok.
Yeah, he's Nash Bridges, famously.
I don't know who
Did you not watch Nash Bridges?
No.
Nash Bridges was a late 90s cop show set in Miami, I think, with Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
I thought it was Miami
And Don
Voice.
Johnson.
I thought Don Johnson was in Miami Voice.
He was in Miami Vice,
good,
but
okay.
then he was also in Don Johnson. No, Don Johnson's his real name. He was in Nash Bridges.
Excellent. Look, there's not much we can say about it. All I know is that the reboot that DC did, where we've been doing the Doomsday Clock with DC, hasn't been nearly as successful as they hoped it was. Very delayed.
Yeah.
Very messy.
You have to get them out there.
Because merging the DC universe with the Watchmen universe was a terrible idea. Sorry, that slight pause was brought to you by the fear that we had forgotten to plug in the computer there.
We did, though. We did. It's on.
And yeah, look, it's Watchmen.
I like the fact that
Round
they don't
two.
have the proper Rorschach mask with this moving around things. They've just cut out eye holes because they're mass produced.
Because
I like
they
that.
didn't steal a fashion dress once and cut it into useful pieces.
Did you ever see friend of the podcast Jim's Rorschach costume?
I didn't.
It was amazing. We made it the day of Halloween about
Excellent.
8 years ago. Jim is a classic guy for not wanting to go out for Halloween, and then the day of Halloween he'll go, actually I think I will go out. Someone make me a
Serious
costume.
FOMO, yeah.
And then we spent the whole day making a costume. We made an incredible Agent Coulson costume for him once.
And I'll tell her, Betsy, that you don't mind at all because it's Jim and you like to help.
Oh,
Jim,
yeah, no,
'cause
it's great.
Jim's a great lad.
But he always we went out for Halloween and he was Rorschach, and Jim's not the tallest man in the world.
Sadly.
Like Rorschach.
Yeah, Rorschach's
So-
not a big man.
So he really got into character. He had the duster jacket on, the hat, the face mask. And we went out and we saw a group of people who were dressed up as Batman and Batman's villains for
good.
Halloween. But store-bought costumes.
Oh, not good.
And Jim went up behind the Batman and tapped him on the shoulder. Batman was quite drunk and just a normal Irish guy having a few drinks on Halloween.
In a Batman costume.
Who'd bought a Batman costume. And Jim said, a real hero doesn't fraternize with villains. And the guy just went, what the crap is this?
What a Jim moment.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I'd be terrified.
The guy he was really worried about, and I don't think he knew who Rorschach was. So there
Probably
was just
didn't.
this.
Rorschach is not a big, not a well-known, not a mass-known. Perhaps now.
I think this happened just around the time when the film had come out. I don't know. Anyway,
I do think Jeffrey Dean Morgan, to this day, is still one of the best pieces of casting I've ever seen. He was a great comedian.
Yeah, I like that film, Ben.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't, but I do.
I
like
went
it.
to see that. Oddly enough, nobody I knew at the time wanted to see that film, and my dad decided he would take me.
I saw your dad yesterday, Ben.
You saw my dad yesterday, you did. And my dad decided he would take me.
He gave me a little wave.
Because nobody else would go see it with me from a friend group.
Aw.
And he was just like, come on, we'll go see it.
And that's why you have a podcast.
So we went to an evening showing in View.
Oh, that's nice.
And then he bought me the special edition DVD of it when it came out, and it's Rorschach's face.
There's a Silk
As a
Spectre and
case.
L-Man up there.
Where's your Rorschach?
I don't have a Rorschach.
You should get one.
I should get one.
Rorschach's the coolest design.
Yeah, I like Silk Spectre.
Well, that's another whole thing. Do you think Megan Good will play Silk Spectre's daughter?
No,
in this
I
one?
don't think so. Ben, speaking of a whole nother thing, the fans, Ben, they're up in bloody arms about the Game of Thrones.
We'll put arms about everything, Michael.
They are the fans, aren't they? What are they like?
What a bunch of
What do
lads.
they like, the fans?
Not a great bunch of lads.
Remake Game of
except our
Thrones
fans,
Yeah,
who are.
yeah, they're a great bunch of lads.
No, there's been a petition, Michael, because
I don't think we have fans, Ben. We have listeners, but I think they are either begrudging or they are out to get us.
they're just plotting and
Yeah.
using this as
Yeah.
little details.
Yeah.
For example, they now know I have a father.
Yeah.
As a
So do I,
result of the
because I
podcast.
wasn't sure, to be honest. But now I've seen him. He gave me a little wave.
Gave you a little wave.
Nice. He didn't take me to the cinema. Game of Thrones, Ben.
There's been another bloody petition,
Yeah.
Michael, because fans seem to think petitions fascinate me as a concept,
Right, go
Michael,
on.
because they're very ineffective when started on the internet, and it feels like you're doing something, but you're actually doing nothing.
That's why they exist, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just to sate people
Hmm.
that think that want to contribute but don't actually want to do anything.
I just write letters of complaint.
Yes, very ineffectively, and then
I do not,
your
I
good
write-
lady friend forgets to deliver them.
I write very effective letters of complaint, Ben. I get many free things from companies.
Do you?
Yeah. Shane and I have kind of mastered the art. Anyway, I'm taking a lot of tangents this week.
let's just stick to the script there. There's another petition to reboot Game of Thrones.
Yeah. No. Just remake season 8.
Was it not reboot from season 7?
Well, that's exactly the same
Okay,
thing.
same thing as remake season 8. So you could, never mind. So It's not going to happen.
Of course it isn't.
Michael, HBO's done with. Well, they're actually not. What's emerged is that the writers are done. HBO isn't. HBO offered them more time and money to make a better series, and it turns out those two lads that love themselves very much may have turned them down on that. I think the two writers got sick of writing Game of Thrones.
The double D's.
What are their names? I never know.
Davidoff Coolwater and something like that. Damon Lindelof.
It's not Damon Lindelof.
Dennis Benioff.
The two lads that pretty much have death threats out against them at this point, I'd say. But yeah, there's been a petition to reboot it. And unfortunately, I think what gives people so much hope for these is that Lucifer survived thanks to a petition.
That's a whole other prospect.
But it didn't survive due to a petition.
Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
Thank you. David Benioff is very similar to Damon Lindelof in your defense.
Yes,
those two things are very close.
And equally smug.
Yes. But I think that gave fans hope that petitions actually did something, but it doesn't. Netflix swooped in and bought that because they recognised that people would subscribe to their service to watch what they do. They don't actually care about fans. That's not how television works.
I read a great thing on Twitter, Ben, and unfortunately I've lost the name of the user who posted it, but he said that... No, that's fine. It looks all right. He said that the difference is between plotters and pantsers. George R. Martin is a classic pantser. He writes shows from the seat of the pants of the characters. The characters react organically to the situations they find themselves in.
Yeah, okay.
And it means it's very easy to start things well and develop things well, but you end up with this sprawling epic and you'll never get it back to a satisfying conclusion. Just like the real world.
Yeah, okay. Which is kind of George R. Martin's thing at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas D.B. Denisoff and Charlotte Copley are... They're plotters. Yeah. They have plotted out an ending.
And did it pretty badly.
Well, no, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Or neither would the guy who said this on Twitter, whose idea I'm repeating. They've plotted out an ending, probably quite a good ending. But when you plot an ending, the characters become slaves to the plot. Whereas before, the plot had been slave to the characters. And it's not necessarily that's the problem. It's the fact neither one of them is better or worse. It's just that it's changed.
And that's what people don't like.
And that's what people are kind of either consciously or subconsciously going, it's just a normal TV show now. Which is
fans
what we
don't like change.
Well, Shane and I said this, or was it us, that it has become a normal TV show now?
I think that was you and Shane 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Very good episode, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, look... You couldn't end it. They didn't have source material to go off anymore. I think what probably hasn't helped is that many of the actors seem to be trying to spare their own careers now. Because many actors, as a result of this, have come out and said, well, I had arguments with the writers all the time. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I say this is because every time I go on the Reddit...
Yeah. Get off the Reddit.
I have to look at all the bitching about... Game of Thrones.
Why is Tyrion stupid now?
Oh my god, there's so much bitching about Game of Thrones.
Anyway, Ben, look, let's move on.
Yeah.
Lily Reinhardt, Ben, we found out this morning, is an actress from the Riverdales, I think. And she, no, I know, but she shares a lot in common with you. She said that fans should eat crow and stop trying to use petitions to change creatives' decisions.
Well, that's how it works. You accept what you're given fiction-wise, and you don't get a say. But the internet has fooled people into thinking they matter.
Well, you see, that's an opinion you and Lily Reinhardt share.
Is Lily Reinhardt which one?
I don't know, Ben.
I don't know.
We found out from a lady about this. She told us. But Ben, she has been rounded on by the fans.
Oh, feck off. Leave her alone.
Ben, speaking of the internet turning evil,
it's always been evil.
Black Mirror is coming out.
Yeah.
That was a good segue.
Yeah.
Not as good as my one last week about the short women.
That was excellent.
That was probably my best segue
That was
ever.
probably your best segue ever. Fitting for the 100th episode.
Yeah, Black Mirror, Ben. It's back.
It's back. Backity back. With lonely people. Lonely feelings.
Yeah.
Great song.
3 episodes only, one of those things.
No, I'm very okay with that. 3 strong episodes I will take.
Yeah. Take us back to the old school season 1 vibe.
Yeah, I'll have that.
Miley Cyrus is in one.
Miley Cyrus.
Presumably about the perils of pop stardom.
Fame. Yeah, we've had that before, but we'll have it again.
We'll have it again.
Looks like the eye tech from season 1 is back. The technology where you can spin back your mind and your eyeballs.
I'm not too concerned, Ben, about the continuity between Black Mirrors.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just...
I've never watched a Black Mirror and said I would love to see another Black Mirror in that universe.
Yeah, well, I think that's the point, isn't it?
Isn't it? Aren't it?
You know, it's
Wouldn't it be?
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be back. It's
Can't
going to
it?
be good. We know what to expect from Black Mirror at this point. What fascinates me about Black Mirror now is the amount of copycats that are just springing up.
Oh, good segue. Because that sounded unplanned, but you actually talked about this with me before.
Yeah, there's copycats springing up everywhere.
What's it called?
Year by Year.
What's that about?
Year by Year. Emma Thompson stars in this one. Emma Thompson, noted actress Emma Thompson.
Emma Roberts.
No, not Emma Roberts. Emma Thompson. Much older than Emma Roberts.
Oh.
Anyway, it's about populism.
Emma Stone.
It's about populism. It seems that Channel 4 has created their own kind of Donald Trump stand-in in Emma Thompson. She starts out as a reality TV star, and she slowly garners popularity over years and years.
Even though she's a woman.
For the outrageous things she says. And she later runs the country, and it becomes a strange dystopia.
Oh, like if... Katie Hopkins became president of England.
Exactly the same. It's a little bit like I can never remember the name of the blue bear from the Black Mirror episode. Brolo? Remember the animated bear that becomes a government icon? Are you just going to let me...
I don't think I've seen that episode.
You haven't seen that one?
I'm aware of it.
With the animated bear? Oh, it's a great episode. Really good.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Very telling. You should go back
thought
and
I'd
have a
seen
look.
all of them,
No,
but then...
you obviously haven't seen that one. I can't remember his name.
I might have seen it, Ben, and it just didn't stick.
I can't remember his name. It's very similar to that, though, in concept. But it looks like each episode will be a time jump.
Okay.
So we grow up with a family, and we see the different stages of their life as their society changes around them. And this is very much taking its tone from a very dystopian Brexit, which is pretty much what Brexit is anyway. But yeah, overall it looks to be a grim look at what would happen if you actually gave in to the demands of all the xenophobic Brexit folk.
Oh. There's a Maleficent 2 Mistress of Evil trailer as well. Did you see that?
I could not care less.
Yeah, I don't really care either.
I could not care less. Now she's evil again. For some reason.
Waldo,
that's it.
I haven't seen that.
Waldo, great episode. Very uncomfortable.
I haven't seen that. I must watch that.
Very discomforting. I don't care much about Maleficent 2, to be honest.
No, nor do I.
I couldn't. It's a Disney cash grab. Look, just leave them to it.
Disney are
they were always a cash grab, yeah.
Avengers Endgame is a Disney cash grab. And that's my favourite film of all time.
Is it?
Probably.
Oh.
You know the bit where he goes, Avengers! Assemble, and then they're all there and they go, ah, boy. Anyway, look, we saw John Wick. It was good.
Do I have to keep doing a podcast with you now?
Yeah. What's that? Is that me going, ah?
Ah.
Okay. Ben, come on, talk about John Wick 3.
Mick has only just learned how to read the the audiogram on the podcast, episode 101. John Wick is wickedly good.
Oh, very
Michael,
good.
I'm keeping it. I said it earlier. I enjoyed it. Fucking great film.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
2 thumbs up from Ben.
2 thumbs up the butt.
2 thumbs up the butt.
From
and
Ben.
a wink.
Ben, we went to see it surprisingly late. I think the most important thing we learned is don't book a film at 10:15 because it won't start till flipping 11.
And then you're fucking stuck in the cinema till 10 to 1 in the
10
morning.
10 to 1 in the morning.
Which is just terrible.
Watching a man kick other men in the head.
Just worth it.
Ben, let's talk about, is it good? The answer, yes.
The answer is definitely yes. I think John Wick might be my favourite action trilogy now. I think it's a perfectly positioned trilogy in terms of we had that very ironic phase of doing action movies for action's sake. For example, The Expendables, your Transporters, where you kind of leaned into the...
Even a little bit your Fast and Furious.
Yeah, where you just lean in.
Yeah.
You just go, it's not a real movie, it's a Fast and Furious movie. Or it's not a real movie, it's an Expendables. And Keanu Reeves and the gang at John Wick
do exactly
that. Do exactly that. It just leans in, and it just works so well.
But there's no element of parody in it.
No, it's very serious. The place very leans in.
Yeah.
There's no parody whatsoever. There's no kitschness. There's no... It's just great.
There is a certain amount of humour, but the humour is generated from the absurdity of the situations that they are in.
And the politeness afforded to people in those situations.
I thought it was quite funny. Mild spoilers, Ben, because it is John Wick, and you know what's going to happen anyway. He's going to fight everyone and kill them all.
Yeah, but it's John Wick.
There's Baba Yaga. There's people keep asking me if I'm back,
and I haven't really had an answer. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Very good. What were we saying there? There's a great scene where he's throwing knives at people.
Oh, that scene made me laugh myself silly. Such a strong opening. We were sitting with good friend of the podcast, Shane, and I was.
Weren't we with Jim as well?
Jim was there as well, but I was there for Shane's reaction.
Yeah.
And Shane was the most invested of the four of us.
Well, that's
I think,
true.
for this
That's
film.
why he did the John Wick episode.
And I was so happy on behalf of Shane that it delivered so much.
It really did.
So well.
The comedy of throwing the knives at each other so rapidly, some of them missing, which is so rare in a...
Very realistic, though.
Very realistic. Some of them just bouncing off, getting handle first.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
Also, the amount of knives required to actually stop the
They
man
weren't-
from moving.
They were in a knife shop. But that was highly realistic as well.
That was one of my favourite things. New York seems like... I love... You and Shane mentioned world building before.
Everyone's assassins.
Everyone's assassins. But it's also the way they portray New York. New York is this big ancient place full of secrets.
Yeah.
It's a whole new look.
But still
New
kind
York.
of neo-noir as well.
Exactly. But you go down a side alley in Chinatown and you find yourself in an old antiques warehouse
Full of assassins, knives and assassins.
weapons.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. The way it portrays New York is great.
It was very good. It wasn't flawless.
There's no film that's flawless,
No,
Michael.
except Avengers Endgame.
That's completely untrue.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Oh, that's
very
actually
good.
a very strong argument. there.
Ronan's not the best villain ever.
Doesn't need to be.
Yeah, but that's still a flaw. Anyway, it's not entirely flawless, Ben. I could have done without the North African mysticism.
Yes, did somewhat grind your gears a little. I would agree. It's completely against the tone of the film. I think what makes John Wick so effective is that other people speak about him as if he were a myth. That's a cue borrowed from Batman generally.
Yeah.
But what makes him very effective, and I think what makes him so entertaining, is that he's just a man.
An ordinary man.
One of the things I love about the John Wick series is he gets the shit kicked out of him.
He gets quite injured.
And there's very often pauses and stops where he just has to deal with this gaping wound in the side of him.
Although injuries in the world of John Wick are much less serious than real world injuries.
Yes, for example, when he gets stabbed straight through the shoulder.
He gets stabbed through the shoulder, gets it stitched, and then is fine.
It's grand.
That's not how injuries work,
He
Ben.
takes medication that gives him energy.
I've been hurt before. You don't just carry on.
Talk about it. You alright?
Yeah, emotionally, I mean, but not physically. Yeah, I could have done without the one above all on the high table being a North
Doesn't make any
African
sense.
mystic in a tent with camels.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And Ben, we were right. The Halle Berry was a weakness.
Yeah, she wasn't the best part of it.
Her action scenes were fine.
She very good action.
Yeah,
Very
and
good
the dogs were great.
The dogs were the best part.
Bronn from Game of Thrones is surprisingly in it.
Why he had to be some bizarre
Italian, I think.
Italian-French monstrosity?
I think he was Italian. He was just Italian mixed with Bronn.
Yeah, why not just make him English?
No, he was Bronn. He was Italian.
Why couldn't you just leave him as Jerome Flynn?
Yeah, from Soldier.
Yeah. I would have watched that.
Yeah.
I didn't need the weird Italian. I do a better Italian accent than that. You do a better Italian accent than that.
Yeah, everybody does.
That was rough around the edges
Yeah,
from
it wasn't a
Jerome
great bit.
Flynn there. But look, he got a paycheck. He's happy.
Yeah. Did you, Ben, like the denouement?
You have to help me there. Sorry, I'm not
The
sure.
ending?
I actually didn't.
Did you really?
The ending. Right, mega spoilers for John Wick 3.
John Wick spoilers, here we go.
From this point on, there's going to be a John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Because it looks to have made its money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's had a very good...
Very successful, yeah.
Opening weekend. So it looks to have made its money, so we will be getting John Wick 4 more
Hooray.
than likely, which is a hooray in some ways.
Maybe Megan Good will be in it.
Perhaps. We
Probably
do need
not.
a replacement for Halle Berry. Could be Halle Berry's daughter. We come back and find Halle Berry's daughter many years later.
I'm concerned that Keanu Reeves is starting to get a bit old and chubby.
There were scenes from a downward angle on occasion. I was like, oh, Keanu.
Yeah. Now, like, he had spent the guts of about 24 hours fighting his way across the world, so it made sense that he was a bit tired. But he missed a few throws.
Oh, did
I don't know if you noticed that. And
I wouldn't.
The stuntmen were quite accommodating of him doing it wrong and going anyway, and I didn't see that in 1 and 2.
Well, he might tighten up for 4.
Possibly.
Look, I'm looking forward to 4 because I'm a huge fan of the John Wick movies.
Don't mess with Lance Reddick.
Don't mess with Lance Reddick.
No, he'll mess you up.
His accent got stronger and stronger as the movie went
I
along.
know.
That was great.
In the beginning he was British, in the end I had
Yeah.
no idea what he was saying.
Yeah, it was very intense.
Do you think that was on purpose?
I think it's because he has to become more. I think the veneer of civility kind of drops as the two men go along. Because even John Wick starts to talk more in number 3. I think John Wick probably had more dialogue in this film than he had in the previous 2.
Well, he had to talk to Halle Berry.
Yeah, but it kind of ruins him.
Yeah.
Once you start to peel back the veneers, look, it's a great movie. I'm not going to detract from it in any way. Number 4 is going to be great, but I would have liked them to wrap it up on a trilogy. I don't see any reason for number 4.
Money, Ben.
Money, yeah, but that's the reason.
And he has to take down the high table.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see that though.
I could have done as well without the intimidating administrator.
She was dope.
Yeah.
Just because she was a poorly written character. She's just sneery, smug.
Yeah. But that's largely John Wick it works on stereotypes and surface level characterization. It's about kicking a man in the head and then putting a knife in the way and kicking the knife into his head.
I think generally I completely agree with you, by the way. It is pushing stereotypes. I do think it's an understated stereotype from most characters, and I don't know, Ben. I think she went far too over the top.
Yeah, okay.
She was pure smug. Also,
very much a stock character.
Counter Assassin was great. Whose name I cannot remember.
I think I've only read
Japanese Ninja Man.
I think his name was Zero.
Zero, yeah, that was the credit name given to him, and his name is I had it.
Ken Watanabe.
It's not Ken Watanabe.
Japan's most famous export.
Anyway, doesn't matter. His Counter Assassin is great.
Yeah, he was very good.
Fanboy, complete fanboy. Very well played. Very well played. I enjoyed that.
A good film.
I didn't notice the missed throws. I should pay more attention next time.
It was a good film though. I enjoyed it.
John Wick 3. Go check it out. Yeah. Also, soundtrack is unreal. Tyler Bates.
Didn't even hear it.
Knocking it out of the park.
Didn't even hear it, Ben.
Tyler Bates.
Ben, transition us there into the next thing.
Tyler B. So a little bit earlier we talked about...
He's kind of a master of music.
What is... okay, we're just moving on to our main topic for the day. We talked a little bit earlier about Watchmen.
We did.
A little bit earlier about Watchmen. And we're going to come back to the idea of Watchmen.
All right.
Because today we're going to be talking about the British invasion into comics.
Oh.
Yeah. The British invasion.
Go on then.
Into comics. So basically... there's a bit of a distinction between the older era of comics and the modern era of comics. That is
the golden age.
The line is between the golden age and the next age. I would say we're currently living in the golden age of comics, as you have said before, Michael.
Yeah, I think I came up with that.
And I would be inclined to agree with you. But the modern age of comics has kind of been benchmarked at around 1986.
Okay,
1986 is kind of the defined age for that. And it coincides rather well with a host of British authors and creators.
A horde, if you will.
A horde, if you will. A bunch of invading Huns.
Yes.
That aren't Huns. But they all headed over to America, and they began to write for the big companies over there. And
they went over in the 80s?
The 80s. So it would have started with in 1982. I think the kind of first example of a very strong piece is V for Vendetta by Alan Moore.
I've read that, Ben. I don't like it.
I don't. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Very wordy, very verbose, unnecessary. A little like myself. But generally speaking, I think what marks it out is it was a complete departure from the light and airy tone that a lot of comics have had previous to that, and it paved the way for this much darker form of comics, this much more satirical, much more visceral form of comic book art. Much more visceral form of comics. Even the art was a much darker, more serious affair than what they had seen previously, and it kind of pushed that. And that was Mr. Alan Moore.
Was that because though it was in black and white?
No, you're thinking of From Hell.
Am I thinking of From Hell? Is V for Vendetta not in black and white?
No, V for Vendetta has colour.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Red.
There's a lot of red.
Does V for Vendetta have colour?
Almost certainly.
Maybe I read it.
I think you might have read From Hell.
I have read From Hell as well, but maybe I read V from oh, that's hard to say.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, maybe you're right. You keep spinning your wheels there.
Okay, I'm going to keep spinning my wheels. So, anyway, prior to this kind of British invasion, and it is called a British invasion, which is quite a sensitive topic for us here on this tiny little
1169, Ben.
It's a little uncomfortable.
Brits out.
Because I originally sent Michael a text during the week saying, British invasion for Sunday? And he was like, oh, not again.
Not again, Ben. 800 years.
800 years.
We lived through that.
So that was humorous. And then...
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it.
We take a look at... this, but what it is kind of the maturing of comics, I suppose, the watershed moment for comics in general. The British creators that we're talking about are still big names today.
Most of them.
Alan Moore, Warren Ellis, Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison. These are all very big names. And I suppose the reason that they had such a strong influence on American comics is that they came from the 2000 AD school of writing and storytelling, which was a much more adult and serious affair. And Karen, I'm never going to remember her name.
Don't know, Ben.
Karen from Vertigo. Main director or editor of Vertigo at the time. I'm going to have to look it up. But she was looking for brand new talent to launch the Vertigo label, Good and Proper, and she found all these British lads who started to make some serious works. Some of the biggest ones to come out of it were Watchmen. Karen Berger, whatever. She was in charge of the L Vertigo, and she brought these guys over and gave them pretty much free reign on the projects they wanted to do. And under these British guys, a lot of old titles, for example Swamp Thing, etc., were saved from cancellation and rebooted and given fresh life and fresh blood, and other series became genre twisting and defining series like Sandman. I think Sandman is probably still one of the greatest comic books of all time, and it was written by Neil Gaiman as part of that British invasion.
Ben, we've never actually, despite being a comic book, well, we're not really only a comic book, despite being a pop culture podcast that has lasted more than 100 episodes. Surprisingly. We've never actually talked about Watchmen.
Yeah, because everybody else has. I think the reason we stay away from Watchmen is it's done. It's done to death. I suppose that's Alan Moore's greatest achievement. When I went to university...
thinly veiled when I went to university, brag there.
When I went to university to study English literature.
Yes. Classically trained as you are.
Only comic book that they would allow to be studied was Watchmen.
Really?
Yeah, they were the only one that felt approached a literary level, which I think is ridiculous. Going back and reading Watchmen, it's very interesting. But it's very pastiche now.
Well, of course it is,
something we've
Ben.
seen a million times.
You could say the same of Shakespeare.
You could say the same as Shakespeare, absolutely. This is the problem, you see. Alan Moore kind of defined this new way of approaching comics, very deconstruction-y, very real-world affect kind of thing, where we look at the actual consequences of what a superhero would actually do to a society. And, you know, we don't need to do that.
Bearing in mind, Ben, that I know you might not have the answer for this off the top of your head, was Watchmen the first deconstruction of comic books? Was it the first I'm going to write a comic book about comic book?
It was the first good one.
Oh.
Or rather, what I mean to say by that is, it was the first one that was a serious deconstruction. There had been many parodies and satires of the comic book genre for years and years and years. Mad Magazine being a huge one, that would frequently target comics.
But I mean, Mad Magazine doesn't have plots or...
No, fair enough. But I guess there had been attempts. British comics did it quite often. There were a couple of ones where you'd look at the real world ramifications of a superhero. But I think because he went to America, because he lined himself up with a huge American superhero company, it got the recognition based on the label. Furthermore, I think Dave Gibbons was essential to the success of Watchmen.
Davey G.
Yeah, I think Dave Gibbons gets overlooked far too much for his contribution to Watchmen. Everyone says Alan Moore. Without Dave Gibbons' art, no one would take it seriously. He was the only man that could render that level of detail and serious real world.
Only man, you say?
Well, not the only man, but he was the only man for the job at the time, and he did a bloody great job.
Alan Davis.
Was he around then?
Isn't he a comedian?
Yeah, Alan Davis is a comedian.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
The English artist. He inspired Brian Hitch.
Oh.
He did Excalibur.
Oh. I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name.
Yeah, okay.
That's one I definitely couldn't get off the top of my head. But anyway, that was the first serious attempt at deconstruction. And now it's been done a million times. I don't think other comics would exist. Garth Ennis would be a later version of the British invasion. And I don't think his successful...
Does Garth Ennis call himself British?
I think he's right. I think he's lobbed into that. Sorry, Garth Ennis is from Northern Ireland, which is where the sensitivity towards that comes from.
It is Alan Davis.
But it is Alan Davis. Yeah. Okay, not just a comedian.
Yeah.
Comedian and part-time
different person.
What I was going to say was, sorry, to apologise to friend of the podcast, Garth Ennis, who's out there sitting on the window now, scratching to get in and take my eyes out because I misattributed him.
Still at it.
So I'm not sure, but Garth Ennis, I don't know if he identifies as British. He might not, but he's lumped in with the British invasion when it comes to that era in comics.
When did Preacher come out?
Preacher was in the 90s.
So a bit later.
As I said, 1986 would have been the real watershed moment. That would have been when Watchmen came out.
Right.
And it's recognised as the turning point into postmodern comic books. And yeah, we saw that again and again. The Boys is a great version. I suppose that's really Mad Magazine meets Alan Moore when you look at The Boys. Soon to be an Amazon series, which I will not watch because Wee Huey is not Scottish.
You're gonna not watch it for that reason.
Well, he's the comic relief in the thing, and it's funny because he's Scottish.
Yeah, but now
it makes American. A lot more from a point of view.
Isn't it bloody Carl Urban?
Carl Urban is the butcher.
Oh, is he?
He's butcher, which would be interesting to watch. But again, I think he's American. I think they've removed all the different ethnicities, and the reason I take issue with the Scottish one from a purely realistic point of view, in terms of worldview. Mm-hmm. If you grew up in America covered in superheroes, you would be far more likely to be indoctrinated into that way of thinking and be less skeptical of it. Whereas the Scotsman, who encounters these lads in big garish suits every once in a while, is far more likely to be critical of that kind of thing, based purely on worldview.
Ben.
What?
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. It's grand.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
I will end up watching it. Yeah. At least the first episode. But it just... I also try and distance myself from The Boys because I have the whole collection at home, which will soon be given away, because it's not very good.
I didn't like it. I found it very mean-spirited.
Very mean-spirited. And I only realised that after you told me.
Is Garth Ennis... Did he write that?
That's him.
Garth Ennis has a tendency to like to include a character who is... an order of magnitude above all the other characters in terms of dangerousness.
Yeah, he likes an overpowered.
He does. He had in when he wrote The Authority, he introduced that Hitman guy. What's his name?
I think it's Hitman.
Is it Hitman?
Yeah.
And he was like, he could kill anyone. He could kill a Superman level character.
Yeah.
Super
whoever
easy.
He wanted, whenever he wanted.
Yeah. He was kind of all powerful. In Preacher, he had the Saint of Killers.
Yeah, it's
completely unbeatable.
It's a good plot device. It's just a lazy one.
And then in that, he has the woman. Is that the one who's?
Yeah, she's kind of the
essentially unbeatable.
Essentially, but the real one is the big guy, the main villain, the
Superman.
His name. He's Superman. He's blonde, but he's just Superman. And he's unbeatable. He's the top of the.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
How does The Boys end, Ben? Spoiler for this series. Do they get him?
So it's a bit topsy-turvy. It turns out they're
pedos.
Butchers. Every hero that exists is either a paedophile, a rapist, or a serial abuser in some form.
Right.
There is not a single good superhero on the planet, and that is the tact of The Boys. The Boys fully looks at that because it's corporate. Everything is privatized in Garth Ennis's America in this universe, and the problem is that. As a result of that, they all have too much time, money, and power.
So they all become raping paedophiles.
Yeah, raping paedophiles. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Okay.
Taken to a very overzealous conclusion.
It's very unpleasant.
Basically, Butcher, the main leader of The Boys, he hates heroes and nobody knows why. But it turns out, as the series goes on, his wife was raped by a superhero.
Okay.
Bore his child.
Right.
The child killed her because he was superpowered in the womb.
Yeah, classic.
And that child grew into the leader of the Super Six.
Oh.
So he hates him.
What a twist.
It ends with Butcher figuring out a way to kill him in the bloodiest of fashions I can imagine. And he then gives himself up. He has to be executed by.
Aren't they part of the CIA?
They are the CIA. They're a CIA kill squad. That's what they do. That's what they do. But everyone is horrendously immoral. Yeah. Nobody is likable.
That's the best thing.
Yeah,
it's just
nobody
awful.
is likable.
Everything is awful.
But yeah, it just put me off. Also, they did that thing where they kept switching artists, which always drives me mad.
Not a big fan of that.
Not a big fan of that. Derek Robertson did a pretty good job. Of this kind of gritty world,
and
then we transitioned into kind of more quicker artists, shall we say?
Oh,
people who could get the deadline done a little bit faster.
Oh no,
which is never Never what you want, really.
Ben, we can't talk about the British invasion of comic books without bringing up Marvel Man, Miracle Man.
Miracle Man.
Yeah, talk
Alan
about
Moore's
that for
Miracle
a bit
Man.
there. Neil Gaiman's Miracle Man?
Is it Neil Gaiman? It's hard to tell.
I think he owns it now, doesn't he?
Does he?
I don't know what the current legal status is. You
Never
tell us
sure.
a bit about it, and I'll look up what the current legal status is.
So Miracle Man is a kind of he was a DC character from many. Is he Marvel or DC?
Neither.
Yeah, okay. So he was an old, out of copyright character, basically. Alan Moore / Neil Gaiman got his hands on him.
He was originally I'm reading this from Wikipedia.
Go ahead.
Originally a homegrown substitute for the American character Captain Marvel.
Okay.
And then rebooted in the 80s by Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman.
Yeah. Oh, it's by both.
Well, Alan Moore first, then Neil Gaiman.
Okay, well, he's a hyper-powered being. It's just weird absurdism. It's surrealism. I think, your Grant Morrisons are usually lauded for this, but the British invasion does weird like nobody else. They really embraced oddity and absurdity and monstrosity, and I think Miracle Man is probably the pinnacle of that, in that it embraces all these concepts that American comics never would have touched prior to that. Body horror, cosmic horror.
Teleporting a pipe into a man. Yeah.
Oh, that's not where a pipe should be. Let me help you with that.
Oh, crimey pipes.
Oh, crimey pipes. Look, you can see that in everything they do. Grant Morrison's most famous DC one was Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. He teamed up with Dave McKean, a noted British illustrator at the time. Still today, sorry, not at the time. And they created this bizarre, twisted version of Arkham Asylum from the villain's point of view. And it was very unusual. It's a great comic, but not the Batman that people had come to expect.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, yeah. He made this strange, twisting, shifting version of Arkham Asylum that was almost a living thing that Batman had to traverse. And he kind of, again, in a unique way, Arkham Asylum had always been a very clean sanitary facility in the 1980s. It was, padded cells, very comfortable, blah, blah. This was far more kind of people left in cells to rot.
What we think of Arkham Asylum now.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of reshaped the way we look at Arkham Asylum. But he would have scarecrows quoting poetry and jokers who had riddles for Batman and philosophical questions to pose. That's the
Riddler, Ben, you're thinking of.
Well, not in Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum. But I think the British invasion treats the reader as if they can keep up with this. Whereas a lot of American authors prior to that had kind of treated them as if everything needed to be explained and laid out. Whereas British lads were like, nah, they'd be grand. Let's take an odd thing and do that.
Did you ever read The Monarchy?
No.
The Monarchy was a follow-up to The Authority.
I wouldn't go calling The Monarchy an authority now. Just
very good.
Settle down.
The Monarchy, it was, but I think it was written by an American.
Okay.
Docell Young. Yeah, American. And it was a real obvious, here's an American writing a follow-up to a British thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't match.
And it really didn't match.
They don't line up.
It was quite odd. It was an unpleasant reading experience.
There's a British way of looking at the world that clashes very much with the American way of looking at the world. I think I was watching an interview with Granty M. And he made the distinction of...
Then did he jizz into a magic sign?
When you... Sigil magic. Oh, bless. That's how we made it to 100 episode. I made it on Sigil.
Oh, no.
Where
is it?
Where'd you put it?
It does smell a bit in here.
But I think the way I would look at it is when an American sees a pipe put through a man, he goes, oh, cool. When a British guy sees it, he goes, oh, that's interesting. And that's the big difference is it's the question of why would you give that much power to someone versus, oh, wouldn't it be cool if?
Right.
And it's not cool. It's, oh, that has serious consequences.
Sentry is probably as close to a British creation as American comics come.
Yeah, he's very... Yeah, actually, that's a great example of an American attempt at British style
thanks, Ben.
postmodernism
Thanks, Ben.
in comics.
Appreciate
That's
it.
very good.
The idea of that he was forgotten and his powers. Just thought of it there.
You
Just thought of
saucy
it there.
little minx.
Just thought of it there.
Oh.
Don't call me a saucy minx, Ben. You know it turns me on.
Fuck.
It's
touch
the
my
kind
back.
it's the kind of closest. It's the closest that I think an American comic has come to that British feeling.
Yeah, it's great.
Ben, when I was growing up as a comic book reader, you weren't allowed not read Alan Moore comics.
Yeah, it was kind of the thing, I suppose.
You kind of had to. Some of them have not kind of stuck around in the zeitgeist as much as I thought they would.
For example,
Top 10.
Top 10 didn't stick at all.
I know.
It's on every list I could find before the 1990s and did not last the test of time because it seemed like a rehashed Watchmen. It seemed like he'd done it before. But he gave them proper powers this time. Everyone had powers.
Everyone had powers. It
That
was
was
a
the
universe where
difference.
literally everyone had powers.
But it was just Watchmen.
It was so dense and fun. It was... I don't remember if it was good or not, but
I don't think it was good.
it just reminds me that you kind of had to read Top 10 if you were a comic book fan in the late 90s.
You see, I think comics have gone to another level again where we're allowed to do a lot more with them, mainly down to those original British authors who changed the way it's done. But a lot of those authors haven't changed. For example, Alan Moore is still obsessed with rape.
Yeah.
Which makes any of his new stuff quite uncomfortable to
The
read.
sexual adventures of young girls.
And what I find uncomfortable when you meet an older generation of comic book fan is that they tell you he's still the best. And you're there going, I don't know if a woman being repeatedly raped by a giant fish monster based on a H.P. Lovecraft tale is great.
You said H.B. Lovecraft there.
Did I?
Yeah, like
The ice cream merchant.
Yeah.
Horror ice cream specialist.
Frozen tentacles.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, the Neonomicon. I kind of liked the Neonomicon, but yeah, it did get a bit rapey.
It's very rapey.
We've talked about that before.
But some people who have adapted to that in a perfect way and seem to consistently adapt is Neil Gaiman. He just give the man a comic.
Neil Gaiman is a very family-friendly writer.
Not always. Like, he has his dark moments. Sandman would have had moments there that were uncomfortable, but he never had to rely on rape to push the element of horror that he wanted to do. Insanity was far more his shtick, where you could be left to a horrible and cruel punishment. For example, when Morpheus locks away the woman who spurned his advances.
Yeah, that
He doesn't
served her
rape-
right, didn't it?
But he doesn't rape her.
No, well, he wouldn't.
Whereas the way Alan Moore would look at that is,
I don't think Alan.
he'll take what he wants.
I don't think Alan Moore would have done a heroic character.
I don't think he could have.
because he was scorned.
I don't think he knows how to write a heroic character.
I don't think Alan Moore knows how to write.
A
Ben
heroic
Colopy,
character. A heroic
2019.
character.
Tom Strong.
That's a parody.
It's not a parody.
It is. It's a parody of all the British colonial novels like H. Rider
but
Haggard.
he's still a good guy. He's still
Is
the
he?
hero.
Is he? Or is
Yeah.
he an arrogant ass hat that inspired Rick and Morty?
He has a little backpack.
Get out of here.
He's got a little backpack.
I have a little
and
backpack. You call me a real son of a bitch.
He's a little backpack, and he's always flying around shooting at people and stuff.
Anyway,
And phlogiston.
I would hold Neil Gaiman up at the top of that pinnacle.
You wouldn't hold Neil. You have very little upper body strength.
That's true.
Although Neil Gaiman is kind of waifish.
Yeah, he's
So you
waifish.
might.
He's
I
got
can
a
imagine
wiry
you.
old-
I can imagine you doing a Time of Our Lives lift with Neil Gaiman.
Oh, that'd be great. Neil, if you're listening, and we know you are,
Yeah.
Mom, tiny room, weightlift.
No, we won't do it in here. He wouldn't.
held
Neil Gaiman would not fit.
needle of my life.
Very good. Yeah, he wouldn't fit lengthways.
And I've never lifted him before. Yeah, anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of the British invasion? Did you grow up during the British invasion? If you did, you're quite old.
Yeah.
1916 happened. We won.
Yeah.
Hey?
Well, you won. It wasn't me. I wasn't alive.
You weren't alive?
No.
I was. Because
So
I'm an immortal time-traveling rebel.
wrap it up there, Ben.
Anyway, guys, do you have a favourite member of this kind of British change of things? Have you read much stuff? We didn't cover much from Grant Morrison there because we've done episodes.
We've done
on
a
Grant
whole
Morrison
episode on
before.
Grant.
So there's no point in us going back and doing it again.
We'll probably do a whole episode on Warren Ellis.
We should
some
probably
stage.
do now Warren Ellis. If you'd like to learn more about Warren Ellis, you can listen to our new podcast this Wednesday, Collecting Issues, where we discuss his work with Irish artist Declan Shalvey and colourist Jody Belair. Check it out on Wednesday. You have been warned. Pick up your copy beforehand because we will be discussing it. And you can get in touch with us now on our brand new Facebook group for Collecting Issues.
Collecting
where we'll
Issues, yeah.
discuss all the tropes and stuff. Oh, I'm so excited, Michael. Tropes.
Tropes,
Tropes
themes,
galore.
themes.
It's going to be great.
Nietzsche.
NL niche.
Jungian archetypes.
If you fancy giving us reviews for our current podcast, we always love iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews
they are the
best.
quickest way for us to get spread around. No other rating system matters quite as much as iTunes for some reason.
I don't know if Spotify has one.
It doesn't.
That's probably
so
why.
we need it for that. So if you want to go over, give us an L review. You would actually be doing us a huge favour. If you don't feel like doing that, that's fine. We're also on Instagram, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, and you can get in touch with us at the Facebook or the Instagram whenever you feel
or Gmail.
like.
We've got Michaelandbenjaminspodcast.
Or you can email us if you're really old school. And we now have our new website, seomrabeag.com, where you can get in touch with us as well. That's all from us this week. Bye.
Bye.